Let's get into Book Nook.
Book Nook. It's something that you guys have all been waiting for. I know that for certain.
And it's something that we've also been waiting for.
Yeah. The DMs have been popping about this. We
And no, it's not Crescent City 3.
That's coming at some point. We'll get there, guys. I
I
promise.
have to at some point. No, this is talking about the fastest selling book, romance novel of, I think, ever.
Which is so disappointing to me.
And that is
Onyx Storm.
Onyx Storm. And
Onyx Storm lovers, beware. Beware. Tread lightly. If you
tread lightly, don't be mad at us. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and this is ours. And I just think there's a lot of things that we could say. There's a lot of things to say, so it's going to be tough to kind of keep this into a short segment. But
no, because this could be a full 3-hour long episode about
literally
all of the things that I have to say.
At least, yeah. I think the first thing that comes to mind is what?
Where? Why? How?
All of the question words. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. And I think maybe my advice to Rebecca Yarros would be maybe think about those questions. Let's get some sticky notes and let's write who, what, where, when, why, how. Stick those on our whiteboard as we're drafting and just maybe think about answering a couple of them.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what. I left this book with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's fine sometimes, but I also didn't get any of my questions answered from Iron Flame either. So now we're just doubling down on the types of questions that I have. And also we've introduced my biggest gripe. 92 motherfucking characters were not introduced, but written about in this book. 92. Counted them myself. I truly just cannot believe that she had the audacity.
You know what you're giving right now? You're giving Ferris Bueller, and he's like 9 times. 9 times. Talking about how many days Ferris has missed from school. And 92.
92. Okay, Rebecca, that's crazy. That's crazy behavior.
I don't even know that many people.
You're only supposed to know, like, there's like this book about like human connections. Like, you're only supposed to know 100 people. Like, that's it. If you max out over 100, like, you are not really like doing well as a person. So Rebecca is getting up there. Okay, Violet knows too many people. This is why she's becoming dumb. And she can't remember anything. She can't remember to share anything that she knows with us. And this is why her and Dane need to figure out the stupid codes on the notebooks, and they also don't tell us what they are.
So here's I'm gonna rewind a little bit. We're gonna back up for a second.
Back up. Sorry, I'm just getting really heated. I'm getting like
really hot. So I think my overall thoughts on the book is the first 45%. I'll be nice and I'll say 30%. The first 30% could have been axed. I just think we jumped into a scene and it felt as if this is what it felt like. It felt like I was dreaming. I felt like, when you're in a dream and you're like, oh, like how did I get here? Who are these people? And you're like, oh, but I should know this. Like that's how I felt the first 30% of this book was we just kind of jumped into something. And I was like,
yeah, like we left off with Xaden being Venin, and then now seemingly we're just back in the school and it's normal and like
everyone's kind of fine. And so I think the first 30% I was really confused. I was Googling a lot. I was asking a lot of questions. I was hopping back into Iron Flame and Fourth Wing to be like, am I stupid? I was feeling very much like Ariana Grande in the viral Holding Space interview, where she afterwards was like, I thought I was an idiot. She was like, you seem to understand what she was saying, and she seemed to understand what she was saying, and you guys seem to get each other, and I was there confused, and I thought I was stupid. And I'm like, that's how I was feeling at the first part of Onyx Storm.
100%.
I will say, though, once they started going on their, like, epic quest, I did lock in. I still have gripes, about it, but I did kind of fly through.
I
Like
agree.
I
I
was
think
turning the page. I was invested in the storyline, and I will say that I think there was a lot of potential in this book. There just needed to be like one single editor.
I agree. I think that we should have done less. We should have done way less battle brief. Way
You hate
less
a battle
battle
brief.
brief.
You hate a battle brief. Nicole hates a battle brief.
And we should have just done more quest. Okay? Because
Yeah.
I'm mad about the lack of details that we actually got of them
Mhm.
on their quest.
Yes.
I'm like,
They were like, we don't think we're gonna get to all these islands. And then they just get to all the islands. And I'm like, where's the time crunch? Like, why did we not give ourselves more time here? Rebecca,
Again,
you wrote the book.
one
You
of
could have
my
given
big
them more time.
one of the parts where I was like audibly yelling out loud was they're like, oh my God, we don't have enough time. We only have 6 months until the wards, I think, fell.
Yeah.
Again, unclear. But they're like, until the wards, we only have 6 months. Next chapter. A month had gone by. What do you mean a month had gone by? You were just complaining about we have no time. And
What happened in that month?
30 days? What are we doing here? So then they're like, oh, we're on very specific. We can't go to the islands. We got to go north. We can't go to the islands, but we're going to go to the islands anyway. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you should be doing. You guys should be committing treason and just doing whatever you want, like for the sake of things, like nut up.
For the
like,
sake of things.
Like
in general.
In general,
for the sake of things.
And so I'm like,
get out there.
I'm like, okay, the islands are cool. We've literally never heard about the islands before. Let's get into it. Let's learn a little bit more. Oh, maybe each island is named after one of the gods, but I'm not sure because we don't learn about this until like the last page of the book. And then I'm like, did we know anything about Zayden's mom? She comes in and I said, am I misremembering the books? Who is this woman? What do we know about her? It doesn't feel like a big deal to me, but I guess it was. And I'm like, there were just so many things that it could have been such a big, like, oh my God moment. And yet it fell flat every single time.
Yeah. There were just so many things that I feel like she had a lot of bombs she wanted to drop, but she didn't know how to drop them in a very effective way.
Yes.
And then she didn't let them settle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, on to the next thing. And I'm like, I'm still trying to process this. And here is my biggest complaint. Because my biggest complaint is, I said this in our book club.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Nicole and I are scattered. We did have a book club, so we did discuss all of this, and I think we just have a lot of thoughts.
I've at this point have been talking about this book for the past 2.5 weeks,
literally,
with anyone who will listen to me. And so every time I talk about it, I find something new to be mad about.
And my thing is, Fourth Wing was really good, and it was successful because she used Violet's former status as a scribe to explain things that were happening.
Yes.
Violet would go and she would say, oh, we're talking about this place. Well, in my training as a scribe, I learned blah, blah, blah. And that was how she kind of like built the world and like explained things to us without having to be boring and like have Violet like reading a textbook. She also like, when Violet ever had to do anything like hard or taxing, she would literally like recite things she learned as a scribe. Right. And like, that's how you learn stuff about the world. We did not get a single bit of that in this book. And I'm like, Violet, what did you learn as a scribe about these islands? What did you learn as a scribe about being dedicated to a god? What does that mean? What did you learn about that? Like, I know that you're smarter than this. Like, you're constantly being thought of and described as being the smartest person in the room, but you're now not sharing any of that knowledge with me, and I don't understand what's happening. And I think that was like a huge miss, was like they just started relying on Jasenia as like the lone scribe, but Jasenia doesn't talk. So how am I supposed to learn anything from Jasenia when she doesn't speak? She just signs, and it's just, she's just flirting with Sawyer. So what am I supposed to learn from her?
Did you say that to me? You probably didn't, but it was like, I've only just now learned that Jasenia is deaf and not that she's signing because she works in a library.
Wait, really?
You think she's just signing because she works in the library?
I thought all of the scribes just signed.
No, I know it's because she's deaf.
Yet another thing that I feel like should be reminded of people. Like, it's, I just, and another thing,
Here's the thing too, like with that whole thing, Violet, there are so many parts where Violet's like learned information and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm learning this. And then we do not get to know it. We don't get to know it until like chapters later. Or
she's like, oh, I read all of my dad's books backwards and forwards 17 times. Doesn't say a single thing she learned in these books. And I'm like, we committed high treason to get these books. And I don't get to know what's in it? Like, what do you mean? Everyone almost just died in this, like, hidden away bookstore so that you could get these books, and I'm not allowed to know what's inside of them. Like
it was truly just so astounding because for me it's like it's written in first person, like we are in Violet's head.
Yes,
I should not be questioning what Violet is thinking about, what she knows. And I get that there could be moments where we're like, again, waiting for the bomb to drop, like this moment of oh my God. But there's so much time in between when we actually what we thought we've learned and then the truth that I don't even remember what I'm supposed to be thinking about.
Right. I think because also like, and I think everyone says like it's very wordy, it's a very long book, and so like obviously yeah, like we're asking for more information in this long book. So I have a theory that she probably had, hopefully, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. I hope she'd written a lot more and had given us kind of more of this information that we desperately want. But they were like, we have to cut this book down. It can't be like this long. And so, because I know that she ended up having to take some chapters out here and there. And I'm like, I feel like though we needed those.
She should have taken out the first chapters.
Yeah.
And not any of the good stuff.
Yeah.
Because what have we even learned about?
I would have been fine with like a 3 months later. After this battle had happened, what's going down 3 months later? Where's Xaden at? Let's pick up there instead of like the moment of, if we weren't gonna like end up making any progress for another like
the Jack Barlow situation. We get absolutely no information out of him whatsoever. No. Why is he even there? Maybe this will come in because like obviously at the end they like bring him, but then Garrick like takes him away again. I don't really know. Like what is his actual value driver other than maybe us learning that you can drain things from items, which then
and also that he said that they can like hide themselves, and so I feel like there's like that whole thing of like, oh, maybe someone here could be a venom, we would never know.
But again, this is like, and this was also one of my gripes. I have so many gripes, obviously, but like there were no points where like one of the things I love about SJM is that throughout the book there are Easter eggs that kind of lead you to the end and like the big oh my God moment.
Yes.
And so like there's a moment where at some point they're like, oh, the Venom know where we're at, we have to have a mole in our midst. Okay, it's mentioned once. And then never again until the last chapter when Xaden is like, pan check. Oh, there he is. That's the traitor. Okay, I wanted to be able to try and figure out who I thought the traitor was.
Right.
I think that's fun. That's a fun reading experience for me. Like, I want to be able to put the pieces together and be like, I saw that coming. I knew it. Like, and here's exactly where. And I just felt like Onyx Storm had zero moments for me to be like, oh my God, she's tying it back. Like, I see how we got here. It just like things happened and then just that was it. And I just find that is like such a frustrating reading experience for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of things. And then there was like other like very obvious Easter eggs, like Eric's signet. Bro, obviously he can like tell the future. You're literally writing it basically. You're like, oh, Eric did this thing and then it happened. Eric said this was going to happen and then it did. And then she's like, oh my God, he can tell the future. Yeah, duh.
And then when Sloane delivers the piece of paper from him and she doesn't even open it when she arrives, she just gets mad at Sloane for showing up. I'm just like, bitch,
after Eric was letter. Like, go to the like Temple of Dun on wherever they are because that's where you need to be. That's how you win. And she goes and they win. And she's just like, oh, no, that was my idea. Like, no, bitch, that was Eric. And he was right. And it's just, it just, there's so many things. There's so many things that I'm like, what? I just needed more.
And it's just frustrating because you and I love a theory. Obviously, we did 4 whole episodes on SJM and what theories we were thinking about and like how things were tying together. And
Because
with
she lets things tie together.
and
She
for this,
lets
I'm
things
like, I
tie
can't even
together.
think about like what a fun theory would be for the next book. I'm like, the only thing that I can possibly think of that's like potential that I'm like still noodling on is that people have been like, Dane's character arc, like character growth is crazy. Like what she just like basically rewrote this character and like he was such a goody two shoes and now he's like part of the team. And I'm like, fair, there is a throwaway line where Garrick world walks or whatever his signet is. He like travels through thin air.
Yeah.
And they're like, how much do we trust Dane? And Xaden goes, not enough for him to have seen what he's just seen. And then like Dane disappears. And so I'm like, the only thing that's potential here is that Dane is actually not a good guy and he's been playing both sides. And I'm like, that is like the only interesting theory to me that I've been thinking about. But otherwise, I'm like, the story ends the same way that Iron Flame did. Xaden is bad. He's channeled. He left a note. Don't come after me. Blah, 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 blah. We're back to square one.
Violet is married and she doesn't remember anything.
And she doesn't remember anything.
And
People
it's
died. I didn't remember who they were. The fact that Traeger dies, I'm like, you brought him in to be a love interest for Kat, and then we immediately killed him. What actually was the point? I didn't feel any connection to them. I don't care. I guess it's just so that Kat can get over Xaden, but like, who really cares? I actually kind of liked the drama between her and Violet, if I'm being honest.
yeah.
It was entertaining.
And then someone else gets a cat for some reason, and the cat's never mentioned again.
Never mentioned Broccoli.
I was like, can we at least have Broccoli have like a signet of his own or something? He comes like saves the day at the end. Like, I don't know, what is Broccoli up to? Like, what are we doing here? And then
Speaking of signets, and then
oh my gosh, the signets of it all. The signets of it all.
The signets of it all.
The signets of it all, dude. The signets of it all. The signets of it all.
One, when she's like, oh, we've just introduced this random ass first year now has shadows, and Xaden goes, it's balance. Okay, what are the other Venin? We don't know, and like we know one Venin who has a signet, and guess what? It's not even Violet's that she thought it was. It's actually her mother's. So who is hers? She can't be like, oh, we don't
and
have
also,
a lightning.
Now there is Violet gonna like advance to being a storm welder now because her mom's dead. So where's the balance there? Who's gonna manifest a fucking storm signet and they're gonna be more powerful than Violet? Like, but all like what? And also, what signets require a balance? What signets require balance? Because is there only one person allowed for signet? Because they have all these fire welders and all of these ice welders, but there can only be one lightning and one storm and one shadow. Like, what is the gradient?
What is the gradient here? In 2, we've just introduced runes now. Okay, runes, and Violet's seemingly bad at these runes.
Well, that was the last book. They did a lot of runes.
They did some runes, but like she can't figure out her runes. Okay, and so I'm like, is the runes why all of the rebellion kids have second signets? Because the runes gave them? My theory, are they just going to load Violet up with rune relics at some point, and she's just going to have all of the signets? How does this work? And then Rebecca is on stage being like, well, how do you guys know that the dragons give them their real names? Well, bitch, how would I not know? Like, you're the one writing the books.
Like,
I don't know. Like,
why would I assume that they wouldn't?
Like,
you've given me no reason to distrust them.
Like, I don't know.
Karen has a full fucking paragraph that he says about his name every single time he talks about himself. So why would I think he'd be making that up? I thought he's just practicing his monologue. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I just think she says things like out of context, and I'm like, well, if you had maybe written anything about this, like maybe I would have this thought, but she hasn't.
My favorite thing, here's my favorite thing, is that the Crescent Cities came out. Crescent City 2 gave us this like epic ending, just like so good. And the girls went off. The theory girls went off. There were so many theories rooted in facts, rooted in like page 57, line 3 of this book. Like
Like I was
they
reading the Bible, bitch.
like
Like I was
they
like,
were
I'm
yeah,
locked in.
and I bought into every single one of them. They were contradictory, but I was like, all of these could make sense because you're using facts to convince me, and I'm bought in. Like, these are all incredible. Fast forward to Onyx Storm, theories coming out of this book. People are like, well, I feel like maybe it could happen because I thought it could be kind of cool. Like, rooted in nothing.
I know.
Everyone's like,
just
Violet's pregnant. For what? They're like, well, they were counting days. She had counted days. And I'm like, that means nothing. Also, the fact that she's like, oh, it's been almost 70 days since the last time we had sex, and you don't know you're pregnant yet? Like, that's actually not how that works. Like, everyone's like, well, she was counting days since the last time they had sex, so she's definitely pregnant. And I'm like, the bitch would be showing at this point. Like, I don't think you guys understand how this works.
You know what? Who knows? They might have a different system over there, but we
I
wouldn't
mean,
know. Rebecca could throw that in and it wouldn't.
Yeah, she's like, well, what makes you think that they follow our same menstrual cycle?
Bitch, good question. I
don't know. I guess maybe I should not assume that. Like, how do I know you're human? Actually, how do we know? How do we know that they're human beings? Like, she's never said it. She's never said they're not chipmunks. Like, how do I know?
You're right. You're right.
Like, but people are just like grasping at straws to come up with a theory, and it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to be reading the next one.
Obviously. I'm counting down it. But that's another complaint that I have is that she says, and another thing, she says, she's like, I pushed myself too hard. They all came out too close together. So I'm going to write another book before I write the next book of this. Girl. You can't be doing that. That's actually so fucked up.
That's diabolical.
Like
diabolical.
Piss me off that way. What do you mean you're gonna go write just like a normal like romance novel before you write this? You just have the fastest selling book of all time. Capitalize on this moment.
Literally. But again, this is my problem, is that I didn't like Iron Flame either because I truly felt like it was too rushed. I think that she was trying to capitalize on the success of Fourth Wing, and it just like wasn't that good of a book. I can barely remember what happened, and I still watched a recap. Yeah. I'm like, my thing was for why Fourth Wing really worked is because it was like such a small window of time and like in a small like ecosystem. Like it was all within the school, and we had very clear
actual clear
challenges, right? Like we were moving the plot forward by very clear things that needed to be done. And now she's trying to build this really big world, but she hasn't set any of the context or any of the groundwork that has helped us understand how the world works. And like so it's like she's trying to cash a lot of checks that like are gonna bounce, because I am struggling to understand, like, and I get that this is probably some sort of take on propaganda and like the government hiding things from us, right? Like I can conceptually understand this, but like at some point, why are we just finding out about Venin? Stephanie, whatever the hell her name is, seemingly is hundreds of years old. I can't tell how old she is, but like, what do you mean these people have been around forever and like only just in the past year we're finding out that Venin are a thing?
Right.
That doesn't seem right.
And Violet's mom knew about her because she's like she like locked the walls or the wards because Theophany. First of all, if we're gonna have 92 names in here, can you at least make them like
mildly normal?
Like, just call her Stephanie. like why do we have to make it Theophany? Like, why did there have to be a TH? I don't understand. Anyways, but like, okay, so Violet's mom knew all about her. Like, I get it. Yeah, the propaganda. But like, why did in Fourth Wing, was it like this crazy thing that, again, Violet had to go to her dad's journals to find out about Venin, and now they're everywhere? What's going on?
I am begging someone who is a good fanfic writer. I'm looking directly into my camera as I say this. I'm begging someone who is a good writer, fanfic
To
writer.
just rewrite this series.
AO3, rewrite the series, send it to me because
Because
like
the concept is so good.
I
Like
truly
the
in
bones are
the
there.
hands of a better writer, this would be our Lord of the Rings. Like I think that there
Yeah.
could be so much good content here,
Well,
but
see,
like
that's what I'm hoping in with the TV series because we're gonna have other writers and we're gonna have other writers and editors and people that are like maybe gonna actually make this like a comprehensive like series.
series. Yeah.
Like she's like, it's really good, guys. It's so good. And I'm like, yeah, because you didn't write it. Like
You.
it's just like she's like, wow, I didn't know this series could be so good. Like
Okay. I'm gonna
anyway,
challenge you. I'm gonna challenge you to say one thing that really good thing about this book. That pause,
sorry.
that dead eye pause.
Okay, no,
You're like,
I
I'm trying
really
to rack my brain for anything nice to say about this series.
no, I really liked the last like 10%. I really liked how she did like the final battle and I liked having different POVs. And I really liked being in like the heads of other people. I liked seeing other people's dynamics with their dragons. I felt
Mm-hmm.
like that was
Mm-hmm.
like really fun and I want more of that because I felt like it was like very interesting
Mm-hmm.
to like see how other people like communicate with their dragons and how they like use their different like signets and their communications and how their dragons like play to their different strengths and
Yeah.
why they chose each rider and stuff, and I felt like that was very cool. I really liked Imogen's chapter. I did cry because I just felt bad that she was losing someone that she loved, even though I didn't really remember who Quinn was. But I was sad about it. And I feel as though I don't know. Here's the thing: is I really sorry. I'm gonna wait. This is not a complaint. This is just a hope. This is a hope and a dream. Is that I hope we get more POVs in the next book because I'm kind of people are gonna hate this. I think I might be a little bit over Violet and Xaden. Like, I just feel like their relationship is just very kind of
Mm-hmm.
stagnant, and like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we've
Mm-hmm.
kind of like gotten everything. It's kind of how I felt at with ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Like I was excited to have the book that goes into like Nesta and Cassian because I was like, I'm excited to like explore a different relationship because by that point I felt like I had gotten everything I could out of Reese and
Yeah.
Feyre. And like still I'd like to go back into their heads sometimes and see like what's going on with them. But at this point of the like Fourth Wing
Yeah, but
series, I
who's
would love to be in
who
someone else's head.
who new relationship could we
Imogen
possibly
and Garrick.
I guess.
That's like supposed they she was kind of setting it up
I
as like
guess.
that's the thing that Imogen had never
This is the
told him how
problem though,
she
is that
felt.
I feel like I don't feel I don't feel emotionally connected to like any of the characters. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm not hopeful for any of you on any of these things,
Yeah.
which is so frustrating because I'm like I want to feel like I have a little crush. I didn't even really enjoy the sex scenes in this book, and that's a crazy statement from me. I was half the time I'm trying to figure out the physics of how these things are working. I'm like, Rebecca, did you even act these out? How does this work? They're always
No,
breaking the
it
furniture.
really
It pisses
takes
me
you
off.
out. It really takes you out of there to be like, who's where and doing what, why, and how.
All right, one thing that I really
Anyways,
liked.
yeah, tell me something you really
One
liked.
thing I really liked about this book was I feel like I'm writing a book report. One thing I learned in boating school was
Yeah, not that easy, bitch.
it is you're right, it's not that easy. Uh One thing I liked is that it's over. No, I'm just kidding.
Nicole,
Um no.
you set this challenge.
The thing is that like again, I am hopeful, fingers crossed. I really like the concept of like the priestesses and this dedication. I
Yeah,
think that there could be good stuff here. I don't understand how the gods work in this world. I wish I had more understanding of it. I wish we had even heard about priestesses before this. Like again, this was a new thing. And so like if she can get it right, I think that that's going to be like a really fun part for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I liked the introduction of this storyline, and I'm hopeful that in the next book we see Violet exploring that side of her instead of
Mm-hmm.
the whole her whole being trying to save Xaden all the time. Like, I want her to be like, I
Yeah.
trust that Xaden's gonna be okay for the time being. I'm gonna go figure out my shit right now. And so, like, I think hopefully, again,
Yeah.
knock on wood, that's where we're going in the next book.
I doubt it, but I also hope so. She's still gonna do everything to save
Again, one of
Xaden.
the other theories that I thought was interesting was that just to wrap this up, that Venin are dedicated to Malik, which I
That one I
thought,
really liked, and I
which,
bought
you
in.
know, that's from our main bitch Emily's theories.
Emily Series is the
Emily's
only
theories.
person that could make me. She's the only person that could make me like this book.
We should get her on the pod. We should see if she wants to come on the pod. Because I think
Okay, I would be starstruck. I actually.
this is like when we were trying to get Snoop Slimes on the podcast.
So true. No, if Emily's theories came on this podcast, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I would act.
I don't either. I would be
I'd
like,
just be like, talk to me.
talk to me.
Talk to
Talk to
me.
me.
Talk to me,
So
Goose.
I liked that theory that
Yeah.
she was like, is it with the parapet, like they're actually not dying? Because they always say we commend your souls to Malik.
Yeah.
Are Venin like actually dead? Are they like building an army of Venin? Is this all a government plot? I don't know. Could make sense. But also, the other theory that you and I were chatting about was that obviously before Xaden goes full Venin, he like says that he traps like a little bit of Violet, a little bit of light in his heart. And so I'm kind of seeing them being like a yin and yang type situation where Violet at some point like has channeled some sort of the darkness in her, and she has like a little bit of the darkness but is mostly the light, and obviously lightning and shadows and blah 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 blah. And I think that they're actually the balance to each other on the opposite sides. And so that could be an interesting way forward for them, but
Agreed.
who's to say?
None of
I
us.
mean, not me. Rebecca could be throwing things in that have never been mentioned before.
Willy-nilly.
So
We might never hear about Xaden again. The boy's gone. He's just gone. She did say that someone in the next book, someone that you really care about, is not going to make it. And I said, it's a short list.
It's a short list.
It's broccoli.
Okay, enough with the roasting of Onyx Storm. I hope you guys enjoyed 45 minutes of us shitting on this book. If you didn't, I'm sorry, but you asked, we delivered.